Thank you, Barbara. And I mean, let's start by kind of saying again what I guess many have said already today. England has its first land use framework. And yay, after years, nay, decades of some folk arguing for it. I know, Barbara, you say you've been arguing for this for 40 years. That really matters. But let me perhaps name the thing that we all know. As published, the framework doesn't have a lot of teeth. In its design, it's not a material consideration in planning, and it's not binding on infrastructure decisions. It's a national evidence base and a set of principles, and yet nothing is obliged to consult it. So the honest question is not whether the framework is good. I think it is good, and I'm really pleased with the framework that we got in the end. The real question is this: where does it actually land? And I think the answer is it lands in places or it doesn't land anywhere. Because the framework that mediates competing claims on land, as Ashley just said, can only do its work when those claims are concrete and material. The same catchment, the same greenbelt, the same town, the same field. The unit of delivery is the place. And so everything else I'm going to say is following on from that. So let's just talk about the principles, because I do think these are really important. If land use decisions are going to be better, three things have to hold. And none of these are especially complicated or technical. First of all, land is multifunctional. It's not single use. The same hectare can already grow food, hold water, store carbon, give people places to sit and walk. The failures tend to come about when we try to optimize for one metric, and we can't call it progress, the seduction of that single silver bullet metric. Housing targets might be met, but flood risks are left in the too hard box and banked for later. Energy might be delivered, but the best farmland on which we're going to be able to grow crops in a climate challenged future is gone. These are trade-offs, they're not calculations. Models can't adjudicate between food security and food storage and 1.5 million homes. Those are value judgments about what a place is for. And the people who live with the decisions have to have a hand in shaping them, not consulted later, but be in the room. Those who are affected must be involved. So it's the place where all of this becomes real. It is kind of the only level at which the trade-offs are concrete enough, real enough to actually resolve. And it's the only level really at which citizens can be participants rather than the objects of somebody else's beautiful, well-designed map. So that's the case for work in places. It's not about localism or even devolution for its own sake. It's where the decisions are. So here's what I think is new and where I think there is a huge window, perhaps a window opening even wider right now, rather than just a worthy aspiration. For the first time, two halves of the puzzle are existing in the same moment. On the one side, the land use framework, national evidence, the land use unit, the Make Land Digital programme, all opening up the data and the opportunities for interoperability across place, across catchment. And on the other hand, and this is the part that's moving fast right now, the political institutions to use it are being built right now. And let's be honest, the political context in which they're being built is changing even as we speak. So the Devolution Community Empowerment Act became law in April. It's creating the strategic authorities as a permanent tier with real competencies. Most of England is now is covered, and the government's aim is full coverage. These authorities carry a statutory duty to produce a spatial development strategy, a 20-year spatial vision for their area. So notice what that gives us. A spatial development strategy is precisely a place deciding how its land should be used over the long term across every competing claim at once. And that's the land use frameworks question, asked at exactly the right scale by a body with the standing to answer it. So these two things have been designed separately. They must click together. The SDS is how the framework's evidence stops being a bunch of data and a document and becomes the process for making the decisions. And the politics now reinforce it. The mayor's new planning powers, the ability to call in and shape strategically important schemes, to use development orders and the infrastructure levy, they switch on once they have the SDS in place. So every strategic authority now has a hard incentive to get stuff done. And let me just touch once more on the political moment opening up even as we speak. Potentially, right now, we could have an even greater commitment to the real devolution of powers and resources, and a real commitment to delivery, to the delivery of material improvements for people in the places they live and work. So, what does it take? What does it take to make these things real? The work that we've done over the last, 5 years now, 5 years in places, let us learn a whole heap of really important lessons, I think, about what works in places, what works in the places that have to make these decisions. The first is serious leadership committed to delivery, to convening people in the room. And that leadership requires really quite high quality commitment to facilitation. The second is the interoperability of data, bringing together the evidence, and the evidence that really privileges people, citizens' evidence. Whose evidence counts needs to be a really critical question and well held. And the third is about building trust, really building trust for those sorts of relationships. This is about bringing people into the room at the front end, not at the point where decisions have been made, consulting at a later date, because that is what slows up planning decisions. Just a quick response to Ashley's comment earlier. The reason I spent a long time before I did this job working on the leadership and delivery of major and complex projects. And what we learned from the places in the world where they're much better at taking those big strategic decisions is that they bring citizens, they bring stakeholders in upstream of decision making. What we would have to call in our project management process is P-1 or even -2. Bringing people in structured and genuinely deliberative processes makes the ultimate decision much, much faster. So the challenge for us and the opportunity for us right now is to not see delivery as the thing that we have to patch in at some point, having made these decisions in Whitehall, but to see delivery and accountability, responsibility and relationship as absolutely core to how we make these really critical decisions that are central to, let's say, this new government's mission. Thank you.